Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talking About It,
where we talk about movies, shows, and random things that we want to talk about. So today we're gonna get into the Scream franchise. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know why I did that.
I don't know. We recently watched the sixth one, and not just that, but we also watched the entire franchise.
Yep, 1 through 5, and then the sixth one on Thursday. So that was fun. So let's get into it. Let's talk about our favorites, our least favorites, what we liked about this one, what we think about the future of the franchise.
Yeah, so I'll start with just kind of like my general opinion on the franchise. I think that for the slasher subgenre of horror, it's effective for what it is, right? I think it offers some kind of fresh perspective on certain things. I love the meta part of these movies. I think that that's always kind of fun for them to like poke fun of themselves while being themselves. And, you know, there's a lot of creative ways that they go about it. There's also some things that, like, for me, this franchise doesn't do very well. Such as, like, sometimes it just feels very repetitive. But other than that, you know, I think it being on the sixth one now and this one actually being pretty damn good, I think it's safe to say that this franchise isn't going anywhere.
Anytime soon. So it's like, I guess that's a good and bad thing. So I want to get into the good things that I like about it. So I feel like how you were saying it pokes fun at itself, and it kind of like tells you the rules of these type of movies within the first movie. You're like, okay, well, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that. This person is probably connected to this person, and this is why the killer's doing this. So I like that it does that, you know, versus like a Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or a Halloween movie. So like this franchise in itself is a little different, but in the same category, because it, like you said, it does get repetitive. So every movie, it's the same thing over and over, and it starts off like pretty much the same, right? Yeah. Every movie starts off the same, except for this. No, the sixth one does too. So it's like it starts off.
It starts different, but then it's
similar and different, yeah. And then it turns out the same.
So I guess like just to kind of go over this one, right? If people are tuning in for our opinion on the new one, I will say that I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought that it was going to be better when it first started. And if you watched our drive-by review out of theater reaction, you would have heard me say that in the beginning, I thought that this movie was going to be amazing because they were going a different direction, and it was very aggressive, very assertive, and very in your face. And I was like, holy crap, this has the potential to be like something amazing. And then as it went by, I think the first act for me was really strong. And then it just started like saying, we were just kidding. We're still Scream.
Yeah, it went downhill from there. But I feel like overall the movie kept my attention.
Yeah.
It's a requel, the sequel to the requel thing or whatever that they talked about in the fifth movie. But yeah, like you're saying, for it to be the sixth movie in the franchise and still have like a good enough storyline to keep us hooked and not bored. It was a little predictable, but I mean, it was a fun movie, as in like it kept you on your toes and it kept you like.
And I think that that's something that they all do.
Right.
I think that they do a pretty decent job at keeping your attention, which, like I said, 6 movies in, it's an achievement. The fact that you can still hold somebody's attention. I just wish that they stepped out of their comfort zone, like what I thought that they were doing.
Right, for this movie.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of a different take on a whodunit. Like with all these movies, I just kept saying like, oh, that's sus, it's him. Because I obviously rewatching them, I don't really remember who was obviously the first one I remember who the killers were. But the second, third, and fourth, I'm like, I don't remember this. So I was like, oh, it's him. Oh, it's her. Oh, it's them. It's, oh my God. Like for me, it's a whodunit and I want to guess who it is.
So one of the problems, and you just kind of hinted at it for me, is that these movies feel very forgettable for me. We just watched them all and I could not think which was which.
Yeah, we had to like kind of discuss it. We were going to rank them to see which one we liked the best to the worst.
Yeah.
And then the first two, which we can remember, is literally the first one and this last one in that order. Like the first one was the best one. This sixth one is the second best.
Yeah. So on that note, yeah, I'll tell you that my favorite is probably still the original because it was something new to the slasher category. And I think this new one was probably my second favorite.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And it just goes back to it, like it being the first of its kind in that time in the late 90s, and then now it being the sixth movie, but still being as good as the first one, if that makes sense. But so for the future of the franchise, we talked about this too. What do you want to see in the future?
For me, like kind of alluded to already, is I want to see them step out of their comfort zone. I want them to turn it upside down, so to speak. For example, I think one thing that we were all excited about of something that happened, I don't really want to get into it, but for me, I would actually love for one of the good people to be the killers, and for it to turn into something more like the danger of them almost getting caught, right? Like they have some sort of justification to be killing people or whatever, like something to make it completely different, or something that like we know who the killer is from the get-go and we see the movie from the killer's point of view.
Yeah.
I just want them to try something different, but then again, it's like, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
I guess, but it's like shows like Dexter work, shows like that show you the reasoning behind the killings. Because what we also talked about is like, okay, in the first movie, the two killers had their reasoning for killing all those people or whatever, but to me, it didn't make any sense. Like the main person they're trying to kill is Sydney. Cindy, I want to keep saying.
Cindy.
Cindy. Hello, Cindy. So, okay, they want to get to her, but then they kill all these people. Like that's like, I don't know. Like what is the reason?
Yeah.
Like what is the purpose of all these killings if they just want to get this one person? And the same thing with the sixth one. Like, you know, they have to get their revenge and they have to do this because this happened without getting into any spoilers. So it's kind of like, what? But like you said, let's get into other comforts, but like you're saying, it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But sometimes you got to fix it.
Sometimes you got to try something new. Yeah. I think that, well, we were going to talk about also like our least favorite for me is, I think 4 or probably I think it's 3 where they're like making the movie.
Yeah.
Because that one I feel like didn't really introduce a whole lot new. And
they tried to like connect it with the first.
The problem that I have with some of these movies is that I end up not really caring about some of the characters because of the fact that they're all immortal, apparently. Like, they're all superhuman. I can get stabbed 8 times and I'll still be back next movie.
You'll survive.
I could get stabbed, like, in the spinal cord and be okay. Like
Dewey. Dewey got shot. Dewey got stabbed. And, like, the first one, he got shot and stabbed. The second one, he comes back with a little limp.
And like, a crooked arm.
A little strong hand. And then the third one, he's, like, limp is gone. Fourth one, it's, like, non-existent.
We Gucci.
Yeah, like, nothing ever happened. Like, I mean, I get it. Maybe he went through physical therapy. Yeah. I don't know. Years have passed. But it's just, like, you're saying, it's, like...
But even in this new one, we see this superhuman syndrome where, like, there's this girl, and I think it's in the trailer, but maybe not, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't expose that much. But there's this girl that gets cut in the arm, and she's, like, limping and suffering. And like,
she's pale. Like, she's lost so much blood.
She looks like she's dying, and, like, holding her arm. And then you have somebody that's stabbed in the gut.
And they're fine.
And they're fine.
Because they're back
and I'm like,
in action.
What is happening?
Maybe it's the adrenaline. I don't know. Maybe. But maybe we're being nitpicky with this type of thing too, because it's like,
but I don't know. But like, it always, like, it's something that stands out in every movie, right? Because like, I consider me not being nitpicky if it's something that I thought about while watching it.
Right.
Yeah, like me being nitpicky is going back and trying to dissect something or looking for something. But like, if I'm watching and I'm like, oh, come on, dude. Like, that's something that actually bothered me.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get stabbed so many times?
And survive.
In different locations. There's organs.
I feel like there's vital, like...
There's... There's organs everywhere.
Vital organs, vital like nerves, vital like veins. You know, like if you get stabbed in the thigh, I feel like there's like an artery there. Like I don't know anatomy, but like I feel like there's important things that if you get stabbed there, you're gonna bleed out.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
It is what it is.
But anyway, to summarize,
they always come back, right? You gotta shoot them in the head.
Yeah,
I guess that applies for the heroes
oh,
too.
that's true. Yeah, you gotta make sure they're dead. Oh, and we talked about it too. So in all the movies, they hit the killer over the head and then they run away. Like instead of like keep.
That's one of the tropes that really bothers me, right? Like they knock down the
Killer.
The killer. The killer is unarmed or like disarmed, like Expelliarmus. And instead of them like pouncing on the killer while he's on the floor,
making sure he stays down,
picking up the weapon or something, they run away. Like this was your chance, and they did this in all 6 movies.
Multiple times, multiple movies, all throughout. So it's like...
And then it's like, oh my God, he's back. Yeah, he's back. You left him there with the weapon.
And you should know that there's always more than one because it's happened already multiple times, more than one. And then these like, oh God.
So for this new one, again, without getting into spoilers, do you feel like the plot twist or the reveal, do you feel like it was like satisfactory? Like, did it do it for you?
No. And like to take your words, because this is the first time we do this video, anticlimactic. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, it's you.
Yeah.
What your reasoning stupid. Okay, cool. You have your reasoning. Yeah. Everyone has their reasons for doing the things they do, but it didn't do anything. I think the problem that this one kind of had was like that they did like a reveal, and then they undid that reveal with another reveal. And then the other... If you know what I mean. Yeah, and then it was just like...
I was like, oh, okay.
Like it didn't...
I guess this is it.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like it was like that.
I know we sound very negative.
Yeah.
But overall, we did enjoy the movie. It was very watchable. They're all pretty damn watchable.
Yeah, they are. They're not like badly shot or... The acting is
There's a lot of cheesiness decent. In the earlier ones. And I just feel like it's because it hasn't aged well. But... Like right now it seems cheesy, but back in the day it wouldn't have been a big deal. But yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. I feel like
there's really not a whole lot else to talk about.
We've gone into all the good talking points, the main talking points.
Okay, so you asked me what is something that you would like to see further like along in the franchise?
I don't know, I just want to see a conclusion. Like I just want to wrap it up.
Yeah, like how much shit can happen to some people.
Like okay, so now with the 5th one, if you haven't seen the 5th one, go ahead and watch it, but I'm going to get into spoilers. So we get into Billy Loomis having a daughter, and then now the 5th and the 6th are about his daughter, which Billy Loomis was the killer in the first movie, so that's how it's all connected. Yeah. So in this movie, they also connected the 4th one with the 6th one because Hayden's character, Kirby, we saw her get stabbed. We thought we left her for dead. Yeah. And we see her in this one, and then so they went to high school together. Kirby and the main girl for this movie, they went to high school. So it's like, okay.
I was like, huh?
We're How I Met Your Mothering it now.
Yeah, I know, right? Like going back and filling.
Let's go back, fill in some
points.
Gaps. Yeah, and then it's, okay, so I can honestly, I wish there was a conclusion just to like wrap it up in like a really good little bow.
Do you think it could possibly work if they opened it up more? Like, you know how some of the problem that Star Wars movies have is that instead of expanding the galaxy, they're keeping it close. Do you think that if they would expand it, like different events happening elsewhere, not exactly to the same people, do you think that could work? Or
so I feel like maybe that is a good idea. Like if there are like copycats or kind of recreating the same thing, you know, for their reasoning or whatever in another part of the world, or I mean. I'm over it. If I'm being honest, like I'm like, all right.
I don't think that they're gonna stop at anytime soon, and I don't think that they should either because like
cash cow.
Yeah, cash cow. Like they're working. There's a big fan base, and they're entertaining for the most part. I think that if they start getting like really ridiculous or really bad, then that's when they should call it quit. But for the time being, I think that they're like refresher or like requel or whatever you want to call it. I think that worked for them.
Yeah.
And They're gonna keep going.
How many more do you think they're gonna do? Like a Halloween type of thing that they're gonna do like 20, or like.
I would like
That's
to
a lot.
see like if they do like a new one to make like a new trilogy, for that to be the conclusion.
Okay, so then like a third one to this one, just to conclude it. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that. Having an 8, I feel like, I don't know. I like things in 5s. I don't know why. Yeah, an odd number. So if they ended in an 8, I'm gonna be like, all right, well, I mean, it is what it is with that. But I don't know. Like like I said, I just want it to be concluded. I don't mind the franchise. It's not one of my favorite franchises. If I had to choose, I would probably choose Nightmare on Elm Street. And that one got ridiculous. Yeah. And that one got like.
I think that when it comes to like horror movies or slasher movies specifically, this is probably one of the more successful, more consistent franchises than like Freddy. You know, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Freddy versus Jason.
There was like 1 or 2 that were pretty damn good, and then like the reboot failed, and then it was like, they're kind of painful. Jason's like the same thing. You know, Friday the 13th was good, and then the second one's good, and then it's just like, what are we doing? And then the reboot was also like.
I know, it's like, okay, and that's the thing too. If we want to get into it, like Halloween. Halloween was great. The first couple were great. And then we're all the way in Halloween 20 years later. And then like, are we going to have...
Well, and I really like the first of the recent ones.
Okay.
What was it? Halloween, and then Halloween Kills, and then something else?
Halloween Forever.
Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends, yeah.
And I like the first one. The second one didn't work for me at all.
I don't remember the second one, but there were like even prequels. Do you remember like when Michael Myers was younger, like his backstory? Like to me, it gets interesting when it gets into that. But then that one was kind of like.
Well, that's something that you can't do. Like, and I'm not exactly sure. And you guys can tell us how you feel as well. Like, I'm not exactly sure if this works in favor of Scream or not. But there isn't one entity in Scream. Right. You know, there is no Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger or Jason.
There's no way that
it could be anybody.
Yeah, and there's no like backstory or origin story for this serial killer.
And I think that universe works for them as much as far as expanding goes, you know, and doing different things. I think that works for them. But I honestly would like to see, like I said, for them to like flip it on its head and be like, this is who the killer is. How is she or he gonna get away with it?
Yeah, or they, because there has to be more than 2.
Usually more than 1, yeah.
So yeah, guys, that's how we feel about the franchise and about this 6th movie that just came out.
Yeah, so remember, you can check out our drive-by reviews, which is our out-of-theater reactions for like quick opinions on movies that we watch every week. And those will be as shorts or reels on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And then on YouTube, you'll also be able to find some of our shorter videos as well, like of actual reviews that we want to discuss. But on the podcast, we'll be having
deeper, more in-depth, lengthier
conversations. Yeah.
So yeah, guys, thanks for watching and for listening.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Peace.